is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And here we go. It is a Back to Work Wednesday here at the Star in Frisco. And for some of us, we are. Well, we didn't go away. Yes. We are back to work. Everson Walls not back to work just yet. He'll be back on Thursday. But this is Mick Shots inside the SWBC podcast studio. We've already had a Mike McCarthy press conference today. We have football equipment on a football field, and we will have football players out there as well. And hopefully they have the IVs ready today.
It's pretty warm.
It is.
And it's going to be warm. It's supposed to be 91 today. It's October 23rd, 91. It's already 85, by the way.
It's toasty out there, and it just seems like the 91-degree, if it was July 20th, 91 degrees
We'd welcome it.
Exactly. And no, IVs would not be required. There's something about 91 degrees on October 23rd that makes it more difficult to stand the heat.
As you can tell, they haven't taken down the tent out there that they put. That's the air-conditioned tent has a lot of ice in it just in case. They've been watching the weather and said, no, we got to have that maybe till November before we take it down.
And tomorrow is supposed to be similar heat. So I'm assuming Coach McCarthy, he always wants to be outside as much as possible. Does he like this heat?
It shouldn't be hot in San Francisco, should it?
Nope, should not be.
And he probably doesn't like all the eyeballs that'll be on practice also, by the way. So we'll see what happens.
All the eyeballs that will be on? Oh, I got it. It has nothing to do with the heat, but it has to do with 12-story buildings or however tall these buildings are.
Exactly. I think at times, I think even Jason went inside just for cautionary purposes.
Well, they're prepared to be outside today.
Yes.
So you have a prediction if they go inside tomorrow, it will not be because of the heat.
But they'll say it'll be because of the heat.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
All right. What did you gather from Mike McCarthy's press conference today? Get us up to speed on what we need to know.
Well, let's start with his brief injury report. He said Micah Parsons would be with the rehab group, at least start with the rehab group. So we'll see where that goes. He didn't sound really hopeful on Monday that he would be back ready to play. He said it was still up in the air, that he needed to test his acceleration. So I think they're going to be cautious there, and that may be one that you just go, okay, let's see what happens as we go forward and try to get him to the game. Deron Bland, who was close to playing against Detroit until his foot grew sore from the activity of practice the previous 2 days, said he's going to start off participating in practice on a limited basis. So they're going to try to ease him back in. Kalen Carson still with the rehab group with that shoulder. And that shoulder sounded like, well, okay, he'll be back in a week or so. And now it's almost close to a month if he doesn't get back for this game. So we'll see what goes there. And then I thought the significant one, not that the others aren't, Eric Kendricks said he would be limited. So I assume that meant limited in practice. I hear he's been running, so we'll see where that one goes. That would be very good if they could get him back on the field. Although Damone Clark didn't play all that bad, I just think that with Kendricks out there, you have your director out there, and I think that speaks volumes for what he could add.
Especially against Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Right, yeah, exactly. So That's where they were with guys that can get back. I hear that Marshawn Nealon is looking good in his rehab. So maybe when his 4 weeks or 4 games are up, you might be able to get him back on the field, would certainly help the defensive end group if he comes back and he's, healthy enough to get going. He said an interesting thing when he was talking about the running.
And by the way, Nealon has a knee injury.
Knee injury, right?
Yep.
And he had, I think he had it scoped too, it sounded like. So
right.
He's off crutches and walking around, and sounds like he's doing better than maybe expected. He talked about the running game, and the question was something in reference to what Jerry said about run concepts and run plays that were bad. And he said, I don't think we have bad concepts or bad plays. I'll just leave it as that. But he went on to say, he pointed out the Detroit game. And he said the first run of the game, he said we had the wrong declaration. So I'm assuming that meant the blocking scheme. And I went back and looked at it. And, you don't know what everybody's supposed to do, but the play I saw, and it was a run to Rico Dottle, and he was going right, and it was a 1-yard gain. And the linebacker was able to make the play. And Angeloni, is that
Angeloni? Yeah.
Angeloni, yeah. Angeloni was a neighbor of ours a long time ago. Anyway, it looked like Cooper Beebe spent too much time doubling the defensive tackle, and he didn't get to the linebacker in time. And the linebacker was able to scrape off and make the play. So there's a lot of things in the running game that I think people don't recognize that have to take place to make the run work. And it's not all on the running back. So I thought that was interesting when I went back and looked at that one. The other thing that I think they're going to change up more, and he alluded to it on Monday, that they were going to change some of the individual drills that they had been doing and doing more group drills. So it sounds like they're going to have more competitive periods in the practices the next 2 days than they normally have. And when I say competitive periods, I mean the first defense against the first offense, not against the scout team. So that's one of those things that I think that they're going to try to change up and get more as competitive as you're allowed to be in practice, knowing that they need to deal with some of those concepts better than just going against the scout team when you're just basically got brother-lawing going on in those plays, because you're just practicing plays. You're not really competing.
I'm going back watching.
I know.
I'm going back watching the first play of the game, and they had Angeloni and Campbell, 2 inside linebackers, and I would assume when they're making the declarations, declaring who the middle linebacker is.
Right.
Is it 34 or is it 46? And watching it, and you know because you've gone back and looked at it, Beebe did not go get the middle linebacker. He had a nose tackle that was shaded on him. There started as a double, and Angeloni was free to run to make the tackle.
Right. So I'm thinking the blocking might have been needed to go more to the right and not worry about that defensive tackle, because he wasn't going to be in the play where the play was going. And then Angeloni ends up making the tackle. And there was no hole there. If the linebacker wasn't there, there could have been a hole. But it was a 1-yard game. You know, when I went back, and this is one thing that we forget, is if you look at that first drive of the game in its total that ended up in a field goal, they went 52 yards in 6 plays. So they were moving right down the field, and then they bogged down at 1st and 10 at the 18 when they tried the quick short pass to CD. It was 2 yards. Dak tried to throw it into the end zone. It was incomplete to CD. And then on 3rd down, they threw it was the hold. Didn't matter what the play was. Zach Martin got called for holding. And so it was declined because it was an incomplete pass, and now you're kicking a field goal. So they got to the 18 and then gained 2 yards. That just can't happen. And that's definitely kind of what happened. And even on the second play, the DB just grabbed Lamb's hands and didn't, let him make a move to be able to pick up the pass. So, and so then things snowball because then you give up a touchdown. And I looked at the touchdown, and they just got blown off the line on that 16-yard run, and Donovan Wilson was sort of late coming up, but he was playing single safety high, and he didn't quite get there. And Leofau was, they were in 3 linebackers, and he was the linebacker to the left. And I don't know if they expected him to cut across like that and make that tackle because he was unblocked. But they're just little things like that. You got to get right. You cannot. You cannot make those mistakes. So that's one of the things I think they're going to be working on. And when we mentioned the declarations, that the offensive line has to adjust when you see the defense. You know how the defense at the last minute will shift over one way or another? Well, now that changes your blocking scheme. You don't have time to call it, but you got to instinctively know where you're going.
And that's where the lack of experience or lack of experience alongside each other plays a factor.
Yeah, exactly. And in that game, your left guards playing left tackle. You got basically a second-year free agent playing left guard and a rookie playing center. That's a lot of movement that you got to get straight. He also thought that Guyton would be ready.
That was where I was going next. That was where I was going next. I was about to say
he should be ready to jump into
since
practice.
We've gotten updates on these other injured players who have missed games. And in fact, even Jerry said yesterday probably be a game time decision on Sunday whether Parsons and Bland will be able to go. And I don't remember if he included Kendricks in that or not, but. Because you have to look at how they recover from the previous day's work. Right. But I think you buried the lead.
Yes.
Because Tyler Guyton being back at practice.
Well, it got buried in my list of questions here because it finally got asked.
Right. But specifically, this offensive line, and the biggest issue I think that this team is having right now is what's going on up front on the offensive line. And they've got to get 5 guys out there, and that means getting if Tyler Guyton is going to be your first-round draft pick playing, he needs to be playing not just on Sunday, but he needs to be out there on Wednesday.
And he said about his health, he said he'll be ready to go full participation, meaning for today. So, and he was asked about Guyton and where he's at, and he goes, he needs to take a huge step in his confidence. He needs to rely on his talent and understand that you can do this. He said, and he doesn't want him, I think the quote was, don't want him to spend a whole lot of time in the valley, meaning
all right, you're going to get beat on plays.
Right.
That's the valley.
Right.
But don't spend time there.
Yeah.
It's like a cornerback. You got to forget the last play and get ready for the next one.
Like
a golfer.
Like Tony Romo taught us about golf and football, that you got to let the last shot go and concentrate on getting out of the rough on the next shot. Don't be belaboring the mistake. And I think that's probably a thing a young guy will do, is just sit there and beat himself up knowing that he made a mistake or got beat. Well, you can't let that getting beat you on the next play.
Which is basically what Nathan Frisco has been saying about him.
Right.
Relax.
Right.
Okay.
Just move on.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got much more to get to. We're just getting started on a Wednesday edition of Mick Shots, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Miller Lite is brewed with great taste and only great taste.
The Miller Brewing Company would like to issue a correction. Miller Lite is brewed to be less filling. What are you doing here?
Miller Lite tastes great.
Look, I'm just reading the script. It says less filling.
That's not what my script says.
Well, mine says...
We'd like to apologize for the previous announcers. Miller Lite is in fact less filling and tastes great. Time to shine, legal guy.
Celebrate responsibly. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beer. 96 calories and 3.2 grams carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, is now exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to all new Cowboy drops, features, team news, and pre-sale access. And fan and kid of the game. Wow. Download the app now to join.
All right, we continue on Mick Shots on a Wednesday, getting ready for the San Francisco 49ers. By the way, Everson Walls should return on Thursday. A little news regarding Everson, which we will talk about when he returns on Thursday.
We'll point it out today.
What do they call it? The Blue Ribbon Seniors Committee or something like that? It's a new expanded committee that is going through all of the quote-unquote senior candidates. These are players in the NFL whose last season was 1999 or before. And so they're trying to make sure that they haven't missed anybody through the years, last century. So they've done it by even expanding the committee and so they started with how many?
180, I think.
180, something like that.
And then they reduced it to 60.
Yep.
And
so then yesterday they announced it's down to 31.
Yes.
Are they calling it semifinalist or maybe the semifinalist or the next round?
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, they'll get it down to 10?
10 or 12.
Okay.
And then they get it to 3.
Okay. But 2 former Cowboys are in the list of 31. One is Everson Walls and the other Harvey Martin.
And it's about...
And there's going to be 3 that come that will be given to the committee.
Right.
Which
to get the final rubber stamp.
Yeah, which is typically a rubber stamp.
So they're kind of listening to this committee now.
So it started with 186 or something like that, and they're going to whittle it down to 3 to give to the final committee at the Hall of Fame voting.
And I'm sure Everson, after having gone through all this, is sitting there going, yeah, okay, well, just call me. I think he's past getting emotionally invested in it, just from the disappointment that I think he's felt over the years. We'll let him speak about that. But look, here's the deal on this Pro Football Hall of Fame. Too many decisions are made on statistics and analytics, not stories. And I think, to me, the responsibility of the voters is to preserve the stories of the NFL. And you do that by putting players like Everson Walls into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's not all about how many Super Bowls you won or didn't win. It's not all about how many interceptions you had or didn't had. It's about the story of a guy that had 11 interceptions in his rookie year of 1981, and 43 years later, let that sink in, 43 years later, nobody has ever had more than 11 interceptions in a single season. As a matter of fact, Trayvon Diggs, a couple years ago, is the only one to have had 11 and match it. So things like that need to be preserved on how unique his accomplishment has been, and the fact that he led the NFL in interceptions 3 times.
Which is only tied by Ed Reed. It's tied for the most times to lead the league in interceptions, Ed Reed.
And one of those was during the strike season when he ended up with, in 9 games, he had 7 interceptions, and there's no telling how many he would have finished with in that year, too.
But even if you just do the stats on it, he's got 57 interceptions in his career.
I know.
Which is like almost doubling the field.
And the fact that, by the way, he did win a Super Bowl playing for the Giants. And then the other thing is part of Everson's story, and look, I know he's on our show, but he donated a kidney to a former teammate. Who does that? And I think that's part of the story that the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, has to capture when they put the little bios and the highlights of a guy's career. That's part of his life. And I think it gets ignored. And there's too many people that are voting that no idea or never seen Everson play. And I think it's just a crime that he can't get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They should go ask Bill Belichick.
Right?
Because Belichick came up to Gil Brandt several years ago at the Hall of Fame, after the Hall of Fame ceremony, and said, we need to get Everson into the Hall of Fame. And, of course, he played for Belichick not only with the Giants but also with the Cleveland Browns. And back in what I think was probably Everson's second to last season, when I think it was with Cleveland, maybe with the Giants. He was actually sort of the quarterback on the field. He was the play caller basically on the field. If they had the green dot back in those days, Everson would have been the one wearing the green dot when he converted over to safety.
And if you just look at his story to the NFL, out of high school, he decides to go to Grambling, right? I don't know if he got a scholarship. He'll tell you the reason he went there, because what turned out to be his future wife, his girlfriend, was going to Grambling. And so he decided, okay, I'm going to Grambling. And he plays, think about the guys he's played for. Eddie Robinson, Tom Landry, Bill Parcells, and Belichick in his career.
Don't forget Jimmy.
And Jimmy. for 1 year. That's pretty good, right? And so, yeah. And you know, and I think Jimmy has come to grips with what took place and how, you know, and finally sort of apologized to him for his reaction to that play, or to the plays in that Arizona game. Fraternizing, right? So
by the way, the defensive backs that are in this final 31 is pretty good defensive backfield, which includes Lester Hayes, Albert Lewis, Eddie Metter, and Everson Walls.
That is a pretty good group.
And in fact, Albert Lewis went to Grambling, and he was a couple of years behind Everson, I believe.
And played
we'll talk
for
more about
Kansas
it tomorrow
City.
With Everson. And then Harvey Martin's the other one.
Yeah.
That is well deserved.
And with, what happens with a lot of these guys, they end up, and it's great that they get in, but it's sad sometimes that they don't get in until they pass away. Or they're not really kind of with us to be able to go and enjoy that. I think that happened with Holly.
Yep, Chuck Howley.
Chuck Howley, when he finally got in as a senior, unable to attend the ceremony for health reasons, and his son did a fine job of stepping in for him. So, yeah, that's one of those things that they just got to get right.
All right, and elsewhere around the league, more trades, another one involving a wide receiver, as the Kansas City Chiefs reportedly are acquiring DeAndre Hopkins from the hapless Tennessee Titans.
For a conditional
fourth. Yes.
Well, Kansas City is basically out of wide receivers. They just had to put Rashee Rice on injured reserve. Marquise Hollywood Brown is already out for the season. And Juju Schuster.
Don't forget the Smith. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Schuster.
You don't say Kareem Jabbar, do you?
Yeah. He is out with a hamstring and may not be able to play this week. So they're looking at bringing in Hopkins. He's 32. Final year of a 2-year deal. How about this? He had signed a 2-year deal for $33 million with Tennessee, which I use as a cautionary tale of every time somebody sees a name available, they don't judge about how they're playing. They're judged by their name. And I don't know that Tennessee got their money's worth, and they're going to have a heck of a lot of dead money.
But we really don't know what Hopkins has left because of the quarterback situation in Tennessee.
And that's true too. But here's the top two. If the three receivers I just mentioned for Kansas City, their next top two receivers, Xavier Worthy, rookie, and Justin Watson, so far have combined over 7 games for 22 or are they 6? They're 6-0.
Yes.
22 catches between those two guys. And those are the guys that have to step up. And obviously, Kansas City did have some problems throwing the football, even though they were able to win that game on Sunday. So that's one of the reasons why they're looking for that. And they are going to, if they do the trade, they're going to be on the books for 9/18 of $15 million, so $7.5 million.
So, but if you look at Hopkins, I mean, just look at his history of quarterbacks here, recent history of quarterback play,
like who
with
he's
him.
Had to play for.
Okay, so he's been with Tennessee this year with Will Levis, last year with Tennessee. And even the last half of the 2022 season in Arizona, Kyler Murray was hurt.
Right.
And so they had backup quarterbacks that were out there. So, I mean, last year at Tennessee, Tannehill started 8 games. Will Levis started 8 games. And so that's what you're dealing with. So it'll be interesting now. He's got to be just going nuts.
Oh, my.
That he gets to go to Kansas City now.
He might run there.
Yeah, and so anyway, that'll be interesting to see what he does in that Chiefs offense. But getting back to the Cowboys and at the wide receiver position, this is a big game for them to see if these young guys can step up even more than what they have been, with Brandon Cooks still out for at least the next couple of weeks still.
Yeah, and he's doing much better. He's able to do some rehab stuff now. But You know, when you have an infection like that, the guy's on an IV. And that's serious stuff. I can vouch for that, by the way. And so, yeah, what they're going to get him back. So they should, his 4 games should be up in another week.
Yeah.
It happened the New York game. So he missed Pittsburgh. He missed Detroit. The bye doesn't count.
Right. And so then this is San Francisco and Atlanta, so he could be back for Philadelphia.
For Philadelphia. Correct. So you got that guy coming back. And remember, you pay these guys. So, you know, the salary cap comes into question there when you say, well, just go get that guy. All right, well, that would be nice. But at some point, you do need to continue, as Nate would tell you, playing these young guys and getting them experience. I think Tolbert is getting better. But then when you get to the third guy, you're looking at Jalen Brooks, Kevontae Turpin, and we mentioned this yesterday, Flournoy, not Floor, right? Flournoy. I'll get it at some point. Maybe when he catches about.
When he catches and doesn't fumble.
And doesn't fumble, yeah.
That's when you'll start learning his name.
You hate that, right? Your first NFL catch and you get punched out.
So who did you mentioned Tolbert. Who else did you mention?
Turpin.
Yeah.
Brooks.
Jalen Brooks.
And then
Ryan Flournoy.
That's it, right? That's the wide receiver crew.
That's basically it.
And that's a lot of young guys with not much experience, by the way.
That's a lot on CD's plate.
So CD, yeah. And what do you think defenses are thinking?
Mm-hmm.
He ain't beating me. Let these other guys step up and beat me. And it has to do with, you know, I don't think Troy was totally out of line when he pointed out about the routes and the ability to separate and get open. It takes time for young guys to figure some of that stuff out. And so I don't know that the Cowboys thought they needed to go do something. You just kind of, I don't know, hold your breath until Cooks gets back and try to do the best you can. But still, the one thing that's got to get better and improve along the way is that run game and being able to stop San Francisco from running the football. And they have not done that in the 3 games that they've lost consecutively. You know, that series, I don't know if I pointed this out yesterday, but it was like in this series, San Francisco has won the last 3 games, right? I had this here.
Tell you what, when we come back on Mick Shots,
I'll do it
Mickey
for you.
will go back into the history of the Cowboys-49ers series.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, it's time to get the giving season going. Tune in to see country music star Lainey Wilson and a special guest perform during the Salvation Army's annual Red Kettle Kickoff halftime show this Thanksgiving on Fox. Every donation stays in the community to provide help and hope for those in need. So tune in to watch Cowboys-Giants and Lainey Wilson this Thanksgiving and give today at salvationarmyusa.org.
Okay, some details on the Hopkins trade to Kansas City. He's being traded to Kansas City for a fifth-round pick that elevates to a fourth if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and if Hopkins plays 60% of the snaps.
Good chance he'll get the 60%.
And judging by their recent history, good chance to make it to the Super Bowl, too.
Since they're off.
So that's why it was announced as a conditional fourth-round pick. Because until proven otherwise, Kansas City's headed to the Super Bowl. Titans will also pay $2.5 million of Hopkins' contract.
Oh, so basically they're absorbing some dead money and paying $2 million of, I think it was $5 million that was left on his base, something like that. So yeah, you incur money, but you only get at best a fourth round pick. So maybe they value the pick that much that cap money doesn't matter.
And they obviously figured that they weren't going to get a better offer than that if they waited. And maybe, I don't know what Hopkins' attitude was around the building, but they may have decided we don't need to have him hanging around for a couple more weeks. So anyway, all right, so Jerry has been adamant, basically, that they're not active as far as any moves right now. But if there was a position to enhance I'll say for a third-day draft pick, what position would that be? Knowing right now what the injury situation is, when you're getting guys back, because you can kind of basically look at it that Cooks is coming back in a trade by the Philadelphia game. I mean, you're adding him.
I would say at this point, waiting, defensive end. I know at some point, either this week or next week, you'll get Micah Parsons back. But Nealon and DeMarcus Lawrence are Thanksgiving probably, I'm thinking. That's a long time away. And if I needed immediate help, that would be it. But who's giving up a defensive end that can create sacks? That's a tough one.
You know what people are shouting?
Running back.
No, as far as defensive ends.
Oh.
Max Crosby.
Why, is he unhappy?
Yes.
Did anybody, before they shout, look at how much it would cost?
I just looked. His cap hit for 2025 is $28.2 million, while his cap hit for 2026 shrinks to $24.8 million.
And how much would you incur this year? Probably half of
his is
just a base salary.
He signed in 2022 March of 2022, a 4-year, $94 million contract.
Does it have his base?
But anyway, I just present that as as a joke more than anything.
Well, that's good, Bill. Glad you're joking. And to finish what I was saying, so San Francisco has won the last 3 straight. Prior to that, the Cowboys had beaten San Francisco 6 of 7 games. So it's been like streaks because at one point.
So the current streak is 3?
3 straight. 2 playoff games and a regular season game. Is that what it is? Yeah.
It's just that the playoff games seem to carry more weight.
Well, no, it's the 38-point loss last year that carries more weight. I mean, that they were at least competitive in the playoffs games. They got beat 23-17 in 1912.
In 1912.
1912. That's a long time ago, isn't it? But the series has been a streak.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, so the Cowboys won 3 in a row from 2016 through 2020. The Niners have won 3 in a row from 22 to 23, so it's time to start a Cowboys streak of 3 in a row.
And if you go way back, the Cowboys won 7 of 8 from 71 through 80. And then when they lost the catch game in the they actually lost to San Francisco twice that 81 season. Regular season in the catch game. They won 6 straight. Then the Cowboys ended up winning 3 straight. San Francisco,
which was 93, 93, 94, which were pretty good years.
Pretty not bad.
Yeah.
And then San Francisco ended up winning 3 straight.
Yeah, what I'm finding in the streaks is that it seems like when Dallas had the better team, they were on a streak, and when San Francisco had the better team, they're on the streak.
Huh? Yeah.
So who has the better team this week, considering
the injuries? See, that's a tough one to decide because Brock Purdy, without his wide receivers, looked pretty pedestrian.
What was that quarterback rating?
I think it was 34.6.
He and Mahomes combined for a 40 rating.
Yeah, because one was in the 40s, 44 maybe, and one was 36 or 34. So, yeah, the injuries, we don't talk about it, but they do matter. And so
here's the issue that I see and why this is a huge week for Tyler Guyton. It's who's lining up as edge rushers for the Niners.
Besides
Nick
Bosa.
Bosa, they got Leonard Floyd also.
Yes, and he's pretty good. And that was one of the things that Mike McCarthy pointed out, that their edge guys are pretty darn good. And the other thing he pointed out is Fred Warner really kind of messes up your offense the way he can play.
Basically considered the best middle linebacker in the league.
Yeah. And the fact that he can drop into coverage. So your call for Jake Ferguson to do more might get neutralized by what the middle linebacker can do on some of those seam routes. And McCarthy said, especially when you get inside the red zone and everything's condensed, he can kind of command that middle of the field in the passing game.
It's rare when a middle linebacker commands the kind of money that Fred Warner has, a 5-year, $96 million contract. That is rare money for an inside linebacker. But he's a rare player, too.
That's sort of like when you say the running back position got devalued.
Mm-hmm. And it's because of injuries.
Right. And the middle linebacker, as we saw with Van Der Esch.
As we saw before with Sean Lee, and as other teams see with most of their inside linebackers, it's rare that inside linebackers can stay healthy throughout a career.
Right.
I mean, Luke Kuechly was another one who played at a Hall of Fame level and had his career cut short due to concussions.
They've still, even though it says 3 and 4, they're still pretty good. And Cowboys will have their hands full, but they need to get some of these guys back on the field. And it would start with Deron Bland and Kendricks, and then we'll see where it goes with Micah Parsons.
You know, as I watched another replay of Patrick Mahomes going down the sideline against
Tipping,
the Niners
towing, yes.
and doing ball fakes, you know, going into that game last week, Mahomes and Brock Purdy led the NFL. They were 1 and 2 in first downs rushing by a quarterback.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize Purdy was doing that much running.
Timely running.
Right.
You know, and basically if things break down and he'll break out and get just enough yards to get a first down. So it's not like zone read stuff or anything like that, but it's a lot of it's like what Mahomes does.
Well, and he's been, I don't either know if it's fortunate or crafty enough to run and not take big hits. Unlike Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Got flipped up in the air or whatever, rolled around and gets injured. Got to be careful running the football. And I'll guarantee you, next time Mahomes goes tiptoeing down the sideline, somebody's going to think it's worth 15 yards to go nail him.
Well,
better be careful.
That's a reason that people forget that RG3 was like a rookie of the year, his rookie season with Washington.
Right.
And then he had suffered the ACL injury late in that season, and he wasn't the same quarterback after that. There's been other quarterbacks that their careers basically get derailed.
Yeah, and I'm not
running-type quarterbacks that.
I'm not suggesting somebody's going to purposely go hit him, but it's like when he's running down the sideline and he's faking like he's going to throw the ball, you got to be careful. See, look at that one in Cincinnati.
That Mahomes running against Cincinnati. And by the way, when it comes to Mahomes, people haven't appreciated, they should have appreciated this. The work that his personal trainer does with him is just off the charts, and which has made him, you know, the uber talent that he is his ability to not only the runs that you see, but his ability to move around in the pocket, extend plays. I mean, that is a year-round thing, and it's something that Dak has done in his career that has made him more athletic than even when he came into the league.
So is that Jordan? No, that wasn't Jordan Love. They just showed another quarterback running there.
Looked like Kenny Pickett.
So did you see what he almost did? He almost intimated that he was going to slide, and then he didn't go down.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got to watch that stuff, because next time maybe he is going to slide. Somebody's going to nail him. I mean, think about it when you compete against somebody that's better than you, and you know they're better than you. But if you can ever catch them, you give them a little extra, right? If you ever played any sport.
Well, and there's so much respect for Mahomes, too.
Right.
And when he runs along the sideline, you respect him, so you're not going to cheap shot him. And then he pulls that off.
Right.
Okay, then might as well just go after him then.
And even that shot they showed there against Cincinnati when he got hit out of bounds.
Yeah.
Well, he got hit, but the ball came flying out. He came flying farther like he was Superman, diving. Yeah.
You have to accentuate the hits to get that. That's smart football right there. Yeah. That's right. All right, that does it for another edition of Mix Shots. We welcome Everson back, and I promise not to talk about the catch with Everson for the next 2 days. How about you?
He might bring it up himself. You never know.
Bring it up himself.
All right.
I might lead him to it, but I'm not going to bring it up myself.
He when we do the Star Sports Tour reception, he about gets that question once every time.
I bet.
And he answers it.
He needs to handle it like Jerry handled his interview with the fan yesterday and just ask the question himself. He said, I know y'all going to ask me about Derrick Henry.
Yeah, so let's get right into it, right?
All right, that does it for Mix Shots. Enjoy your Wednesday, and we'll see you again tomorrow at noon.
Go Cowboys.
Oh boy, Chris.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!